Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the absolute last start of the Silver Rudder 2024. Next to me is Peter Corning of Corning Yachts. Most of you will know Corning Yachts as a Dragonfly. We've got 2 minutes and 52 seconds to the final start. We're really looking forward to just a couple of seconds. We're going to point, there you go, we're going to point at the starting line. The picture you can see is our drone picture. To windward, closest to you at the bottom of the screen is a little yellow blob. That's the starting mark, the windward mark. And down at the other end is the pin end mark, which means the mark which is the opposite of the starting line. Any boat across the line before the start goes has started too early and will be penalised. Not because I don't expect any of these boats to be penalised. It's just to give you an indication of where we are. We're standing on the banks to the windward side of the starting line, so we can see right down the line. We've got a drone in the air, we've got a rib in the water, and we've got Mads standing next to me with a camera, and Peter Corning and I will be commentating the start as they cross the line. Now, Peter, let's talk about some of the boats. Now, let's, if you zoom in a little bit, Mads, to the yellow boat right at the leeward end. There you go, a little bit to the left. There you go. Let's look at him first. Peter, let's talk about him.
Yeah, that's Jacob. He's a local guy here from Svendborg, Tåsinge area. So he should know the waters around here quite well. So maybe he has a few tricks.
What type of boat is that?
It's a Sion. It's a Swedish-built boat. There's only built around 15 hulls of this kind of boat. This one Jakob has is a full carbon boat, so it will definitely be one of the boats to look at on the result list. So it's going to be interesting to see how he will do during the race. The boat has a lot of potential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's look at the other boats closest to the screen there. Just going out of the screen, number 416 is the Dragonfly 40 performance. It's called a 40C performance. Whereas the C stands for the fact that there are carbon reinforcements in the hinges and there are carbon rig and stuff. But let's look at the boat just behind that. You can see the drone picture. That's a Maldives 32. That is a catamaran and not a trimaran. What does that mean, Peter?
That means that's a construction where it has 2 hulls instead of 3. So it's it gives another kind of construction. It's just another way of building a boat.
Can a catamaran ever be as fast as a trimaran?
Yeah, definitely it can. But it's not all catamarans, and of course not all trimarans that is fast. So, but this one with Brian on board, he's an underdog. I think he can be surprised at this year's. I'm
going to interrupt you briefly because there's a boat that's coming out called the Tribe, which is Lars Kampf. He's got 4 seconds to the start. In my opinion, he's going to get an absolutely magical start. 4 seconds to the start, he just banged across the starting line. It just literally 5 seconds before the start. So did Brian Turnerson, who you just called the underdog. Don't underestimate Lars Kampf. He's there in his Corsair 31.
Yeah.
It's a Corsair 31 design, which means every single Corsair 31 in that category is built in exactly the same manner. Just like you had the Beneteau First Seascape 27s, they're identical. Now, let's go back to talking about Brian Turnerson in the Maldives 32. You say he's an underdog. Why would you say that compared to the other boats that are here?
He's an underdog compared to the wind forecast that we have. I talked to Brian yesterday, and he's not happy with a lot of winds because the boat will get a little bit. It's light, so for this kind of wind, he's really happy. So he's never sailed against in a race before with the boat. So we don't really know how it performs compared to other boats yet. But from what we can hear, it could be.
That's really
underdog.
That's really interesting. You say he's light because a boat like that doesn't look that light, does it? The fact it's got a chunky doghouse on the top.
Exactly, and he actually joked about calling it clumsy dumpsy. So
well, let's look at what's going down the fleet now. Now, if you look at the boat in the picture there, this one here, what boat's that?
That's Lars Kempfe in his Corsair F31, and that's actually a Farrier design, but it's built by Corsair. And it is, as you said previously, it's a one design boat, but they hope to build a one design class with this boat. But he previously sailed a Dragonfly 800, but that boat were destroyed in the floods last autumn in the northern Germany. Yeah. So it was so he had to look for new adventures.
I remember when he registered this spring or this winter, he didn't actually know which boat he's going to be racing.
Exactly. Yeah.
And he wrote saying, "Philip, what am I going to do? I don't have a boat." So he got himself set up. Lars Kempf has won this race. He's also got a second places. Him and his son race eagerly in double-handed races. So he's definitely an authority. He may not have the newest or the fastest boat. I'm not sure, but it certainly is a very, very good sailor. Let's talk about the other boats in the fleet here. You've got a boat. We still got the with the Lars Kempf. I'd like to look at some of the other boats. Yeah, that's better. That's better. Let's talk about some of the other boats we can see here.
Yeah, you can see Jens Thusen in his Dragonfly 40C Performance is second here. And
with
followed.
A huge rig. They have do you know how high the mast is on the on the 40Cs?
They are 20.5 meters, only the mast section, so that's above deck. So it's quite a rig.
So we're talking about 22 meters, 23 meters high, perhaps. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So they have to go under the high bridge to the east.
Exactly, and that is a disadvantage for the 40s here, where many of the others can go underneath the lower part of the bridge, closer to shore, so they can so they don't have to sail longer. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see how that will turn out. Yeah, then in the picture here we have Jens Thusen on his Dragonfly 40C Performance. The boat is actually normally by anchorage right here in the corner.
It's actually moored in the corner. He's got his own berth.
Yes.
So it's quite funny. The films that we're watching now, he's sailing right by his berth. He's probably only about 400 meters from home.
Yes.
So he decides to regret. All he has to do is just take down his mainsail and park. Look at these great shots here.
Fantastic.
You can see by the bow and the keel water how fast these boats are going. Now, there are obviously some river motorboats behind them, but these boats are tearing down Svebro Sound. Yeah. I'm guessing that the boats have got a bit of slack on their sheets.
And it's interesting to see that some of the boats are actually tacking here compared to the boats earlier. But that's maybe some of the boats that was further down on the starting line.
Right now, these boats have probably started too far down to windward and have had a bit of a hard time maintaining their course up towards windward. You know, I'm not allowed to criticize, but looking at the Maldives 32, it's going to be difficult to see how well he performs. Look at this picture here.
That's the sea.
We've got the sea on 9.6. Oh, very windy here.
Yes.
And
how
fast is that boat going, do you think?
Right there, it's around 11, 12. Yeah, 12.
And he hasn't even started getting any real slack on his sheets, has he?
No, not really. And it's still gusty wind, so right now it's a little bit lower, I think. So this boat can again, it's a full carbon boat construction. So with a rig from Marström in Sweden. So definitely a fast boat.
I've raced this boat round the cans a few times here.
Okay, yeah.
In evening races with the previous owner, Peter Hübner.
Yeah.
Peter, if you're listening out there, Peter, must be nice to see your boat being handled so well by Jakob there in the Silver Rudder. I raced against the previous owner in my little Impala 27. He was racing that.
Okay.
We're talking the second year of the Silver Rudder back in 2012 will be my first Silver Rudder. So it's great to see you out in the water still. So looking down the fleet, we've got absolutely amazing weather, amazing pictures. The boat behind her is probably the search and rescue coordination boat, just out there cruising along, enjoying the view of the sublime 30.
So there we have Alan. I think the brother of Brian in his Maldives 32. Also a very good sailor. He will also do well, I'm sure. He said he's a little bit rusty. It's only his second race this year, so he told me that don't expect too much.
Is that what he said?
Yes.
That's covering.
Yes, exactly.
Covering up. I'm sure he do well. Those two brothers always do very well.
They do. Yeah.
I'm particularly curious to see how the Maldives is going to do, but Brian and Alan have always done very, very well. They have never raced in the same type of boat, have they? They've always had slightly different boats, I believe, slightly different models.
Yes.
Which is probably quite good, isn't it?
Definitely. Yeah.
Otherwise they'd have a family argument.
Yeah, and then earlier they also saw us sailed together. They also previously had a Dragonfly 800, so they have been on different boats, and their dad is also a trimaran sailor and also has another Corsair. The size I don't remember, but so yeah, they are a trimaran multi-hull family. That's for sure.
And he's always down here with them every single year, checking them out, and he's in the meeting point all night,
Yes.
looking at the screen for them. It's lovely.
Yeah.
It's great to see a family of 3 guys
Definitely.
here, all in the multi-hull segment, multi-hull world. So this is Brian Tunnison that we can see in his Farrier 31. Let's move the camera over to Johan. Johan, are you enjoying your view out there? We're enjoying your fantastic shots.
Yeah, it's really, really great to be here. I'm just gonna go behind this one because I don't think you can hear me too well out here.
No, it's
I
fine.
mean, it's
but
just
it's very
amazing
good.
to see these boats. Yeah, we see the 40 here, the one that's actually almost home is just about to roll out. I guess it's a code or something.
Yes,
Some of the other boats
0.0.
have rolled out the code and is faring quite well. I think he is considering it still. I mean, he will have to roll it in a second anyway, because he's going to go a little bit closer to the wind, as we saw previously as well. But it worked really, really well for, it was Brian up there.
Yes.
He really gained some speed when he rolled out his code, so it would be a good idea. We also saw the other 40, which is just here, has rolled out the code, and that's also working very well. As well, the 28, Dragonfly 28 up here has also rolled it out. And that's actually really, really done them well.
So how long can they make? How long can they keep their code zeros up?
They can.
Not for long. I would say they'll be able to keep it up for another minute or so, and then I'll guess, or even less. They're sailing quite
So Joe,
fast.
literally,
I guess
they
they'll
just
have to roll it in.
so they literally set the codes. It's easy to unfurl, but much more difficult to furl again. So when they refurl these sheets, is it manually or is it electrical, Peter? I'm talking to Peter now, Johan.
It's electrically on the 240s. They have electrical furlers on board, and they can actually furl it up in 9 seconds. You see, this morning here is doing it.
Whereas
right
the
now.
other guys, apparently, apparently Brian rolled out his code 0, but has to roll it back in manually.
Yes.
This is who we can see is Lars Kempf from the drone picture in the Farrier 31, and he's tearing along. He must be in the front of the fleet. He was also by far the sailor that got the best start. He gunned off the starting line.
He did very well.
Okay. Great. So,
Yeah.
drone pictures from here. You can see the first boat. That'll be the. Who do you think that is at the front there?
That must still be Lars Kempfer, I guess.
That'll be Lars
on his,
Kempfer at the
on
front,
his
yeah.
Corsair F31. Yeah.
It looks like
Follow-
he's way ahead, but he isn't really. I mean, as soon as they pass the point, the headland there, if he
Yeah.
doesn't have to tack,
You
can these boats possibly go over the reef there? I mean, what's the draft you think of these like the Farrier 31?
The Farrier F31 is a little bit different from our Dragonflies because it's an actual dagger board, so it's pushed up and down.
Yes,
just
just like the Sams.
Exactly. So the draft of this is, I'm not sure, but it will be around 170 meters.
Okay, and that really shouldn't go aground, because if you hit the ground, those things, it'll snap off.
Yes.
It'll break the dagger box, won't it?
Yeah, and it will potentially, if you have a great speed on the boat, it will potentially actually open the
hull.
The hull, yeah.
Yeah, or the floats. So
Or the
basically,
floats,
those boats have dagger boards in each of the floats, and then like the yellow diamonds. Well, you have to actually move the helms board. The sailor has to move from one float to the other to drag up the dagger board before, just as the boat is tacking. Because if you don't do it fast enough whilst the boat is tacking, the water resistance against the dagger board makes it almost impossible to extract manually. Let's look at the picture. Who have we got in the screen
That's
here?
Jacob Drude on his 28 performance. He's been at this race as far as I can remember.
Yeah,
for
I don't
several
think I've ever
years.
seen him. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's a very, very skilled sailor. Very, very fast. Also, he's a hard guy to beat. So and you can see there he follows the 40 C
Quite
performance.
nicely.
Yeah.
Quite
nicely,
surprising. I mean, the 40's a bit heavier,
Yeah.
but a lot more sail
exactly.
area.
As
And what,
as first they come out of the sound and the 40 can stretch his legs, it will definitely take off.
for those of you out there who have heard just about every single commentator I have talking about stretching the legs, it's not as if these guys are going to drop their legs in the water and start splashing around. To stretch your legs is sort of a Danish or Denglish expression of saying it's basically, you slack off your sheets a bit, and the boat just starts gunning it and goes much faster. That's what we mean by that. It's a great, cool sailing expression. When a boat stretches its legs. When a boat goes on an ocean passage, it stretches its legs.
Yeah, and also so you have the time to make the right trim. The bigger a boat is, the longer time it takes to make the right trim. So stretching legs is also just that you have the time to to set up the boat you want.
So time also means you don't have such confined waters as you have here. You know, there's very, very little space to make adjustments, and there's no space to make mistakes. If you set the code 0 here and don't manage to get it back in again, you're going to end up, 80 square meters of sail flapping in the wind, which basically just completely destroys the flow of air past the jib and the mainsail. So it's important to make the right decisions at the right times in a race like this. You can see one of the 40s there tacking. Is it a 40? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it is. It's
Jens
Tusen, yeah.
That's you having to tack.
But it seems like the other 40 following him.
The 40's tacking it as well.
I think it's because they're coming into some shallow waters. So
I think they're getting close to the reef where I say there's the old oak tree. Like I keep saying, good fishing grounds, but a bad place to park your boat.
Yeah.
Which means they're now pointing towards the middle of Turku on the coastline over there. And before long, they're going to bear away. I mean, it almost looks like they're going the wrong direction altogether, doesn't it?
It does, yeah, but they will just continue for a couple of more minutes, and then
that's right. There you go, and then they'll be tacking again.
Yeah, you can already see Jens Tusen is tacking now. So
the island on the left is called Kidholm, and I'm a bit surprised your dad has tacked right in his foul air.
Yeah, but that's a trade-off I think he's making, because he knows this leg is not that long, so he. So he had to sail even longer to get out of the.
Okay. So better to suffer for a few minutes,
I think,
than to end up further to windward and be stuck up there or sail.
I would guess
further.
that the calculation he has made. Yeah.
I'm not being judgmental about your father's sailing abilities. I couldn't even sail 200 meters without him passing me.
But it's a trade-off, yeah. So
sure it is.
Yeah.
So what we've got in the screen here, ladies and gentlemen, is the two Dragonfly 40C performance. Now, the word performance means that they're bloody fast, but they're also really, really comfortable cruising boats. Now, they're amazing boats. If you want to get from A to B super fast, you get yourself one of those things. Instead of having to bump around in a monohull, you can get from A to B completely horizontal, doing 9 or 10 knots all the time.
Yeah, so here, probably when they go out here, they will do around 9 to 10 knots of boat speed when going upwind. As soon as they can ease off the sails a bit, they will start accelerating in a whole different way. So if the wind keeps up when they're rounding to Reo, I would guess they can do 15 knots.
These two pictures, these two boats we can see here, and there's definitely less wind just there, but that's because they're being covered. There's a headland there and some trees at the end there. As soon as they clear that headland, and literally these boats will probably start accelerating as we watch the film, because they've just got to come clear of the headlands and there's a little bit more wind. But it looks as though the wind might have dropped a little bit.
It seems like it, yeah. But so it's going to be interesting to see what they will have.
What decisions they make? Because is that Lav Camp we can see at the front, and then Jakob. Is that the Varia 31 we can see? I think it is.
I think it's Lars, yeah.
Yeah, and then behind him is Jakob
on the Sion, yeah.
In the Sion, yeah. Which means that Jakob is almost caught up Lars, because Lars was quite a way ahead, wasn't he?
Yeah, he
got
was.
A much better start.
Yeah. Yeah, well, but that's how it is with these modules. If it seems like they are far ahead, it can change quickly because of the boat speeds that they have. So if relatively, if it seems exactly, now he's actually seems like he's passing him to windward side.
I just pointed at the screen, ladies and gentlemen. You can't see that, but as we're talking about acceleration, things about these multi-hulls is that wind speed is converted immediately to hull speed.
Yeah.
So last camp might have been faster throughout, but if Jakob in the yellow boat gets the wind faster, the boat just goes from a moderate 6 knots to an amazing 11 knots. And even though it's only 5 knots, which is 9 kilometers an hour, it's the difference between huge success and total failure. And it's just a little bit like racing a small dinghy, an okay dinghy. I mean, all the boats are about 5.6, 5.7 knots upwind, but downwind they do anywhere between 5 and 25 knots. Depending on or at least 5 and 15.
It's all
knots.
Relatively.
Yeah.
Seems like there's another 28 making a tag out.
Yeah,
taking
that's right. Yeah.
Then we have
Looks like-
Einar in his dragster. A very old, no, not very old. It's an older trimaran,
is old.
a very famous trimaran that has done records around Zealand.
It's done the Danish course for, I think you say very, isn't it about 25 years old?
No, more. It's plus 30. So, but still a fast boat. And Einar has great experience with the boat. Has been the owner for quite some years now.
A boat like that, I mean, does a boat like that ever get worn out? I mean, this boat has been hammered on the race course for 30 years.
It really depends on how good you are to take care of the boat and maintain the boat. That has a lot of influence, especially when the boat gets older.
Well, we're going to be leaving you before long, ladies and gentlemen. We've sort of come to the end of our coverage. We can hardly see the boats anymore. We've got a drone in the air just filming. We've got Johan and Katrina and Petra and Anita on the water. Last picture's just passing a schooner in the background. That's not a Silver Rudder participant on its way back. The boat we can see there is the Farrier 31, isn't it? Yeah, that's Lars Kampf.
Yeah.
So he's still the boat. He's still the boat in the lead. And just behind him will be the yellow Seagon, I believe, unless we were mistaken by the boats we saw a second ago. Johan?
Yeah,
What can you see?
Philip, I'm with you.
Great. So that's the last
exactly
camp for the
as
forward
you
boat.
said, exactly as you said. Yeah, we had last camp in I don't know, 300 meters or so, 400 maybe. But as you said, it's going to change extremely fast. You know, these boats are so fast if they get the wind. Yeah, that's what we see. What's the yellow one against the course?
That's a Seagon 9.6 with Jakob Hober on it. Yeah.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, he's definitely still in the second place in the boat battle, as you also saw before. And we're just, steaming out towards here and Fulway Reef, and then these boats will be able to, what was it you were saying, stretch their legs?
Yeah, that's right, they're going to stretch the legs.
Throw out some sail, and yeah, they'll be able to get some slack on the sheets and really fly towards the Great Belt Blitz. It's going to be a pleasure to follow them.
Let's just move the camera towards the yellow Seagon 9.6 with Jakob Hober on it.
Yeah, we're going to move the camera down towards the yellow.
So from the he's quite far away. I mean, that's great, thanks, because that really put things into perspective. But you can go back to the last camp if you want. Because the camera view we had here, it looked as though they were literally 20 meters away from each other, and the Hober was actually going to windward and was taking over. Just to show you how
No, definitely not. He's quite far behind. I would say a couple of hundred meters at least.
Okay.
So it's going to be interesting to see what happens when they change the course around the buoy out here and start going north.
Brilliant. Johan, we've enjoyed very much having you out on the boat, filming for us. You've taken some amazing footage. So have our drone, so has Mass on the waterfront here at the Silver Rudder 2024 studio. Peter Corning, thanks very much for coming and joining us.
Thank you too.
We've enjoyed having you here and sharing your expert family knowledge on the multi-hull world. Enjoy that. I wish that picture had been your dad at the front, but I'm sure he'll be there before long.
When they get to stretching their legs, I'm sure he will try his best. Yeah.
Let's hope he's got his running shoes on when he gets to stretch his legs. Now, ladies and gentlemen, thanks very, very much for joining us here at the studio. We're going to round off the Silver Rudder 2024 start, but we will be posting announcements, placements of the boats where they are as people decide to leave the race, or weather forecasts and any points of interest. We'll be doing live streaming with boats as they race around the course during the next 48 hours or so, hopefully, so I can get some sleep. They won't be racing for too long, and there won't be too little wind in the little belt. So enjoy the rest of the race. Don't forget, you can track the entire race. And thanks to Fleming and all the rest of the crew on board the Silver Rudder helping us out.